Hi, this is Perry from Unga Guitars and the Unga School of Guitar Making. So we're back here at my drawing board. Let's see if we can see it now. So about from this height you can see that this build is for fan frets. This is a 6-string guitar, and what I have here is my two different scale lengths. The top side being my bass side and the bottom side being my treble side. I'm doing a 26 3/4 because that's what worked out with my template, and to 25 and a half. So it's not a big fan at all. So I placed my templates on here so you can get an idea of how I laid them out. What I wanted to see on here was that the first position was a little more straight, to make it easier for me to play. This isn't a build for anybody, so like most of them, it's a build for myself, so I take my needs into account. I'm going to go ahead and put the fingerboard in view. I've already laid out the fingerboard, and what I did was I made my blank to thickness, so a little under 1/4 of an inch. Drew a center line on it, laid out my taper, and then put my templates up to the edge and used the notches and a silver pencil to go ahead and make little tick marks. And the way I got my measurements were where it was going to start, where one scale started and stopped, was by using my blueprint here. So right here I have gone ahead, and with the longest part of the scale I made that as if it was where the nut was going to be. And same thing down here with the longer scale length. I went ahead and scribed a line here, and as if that was going to be my last fret. So the way I laid out my fingerboard was I took, where is it at? Right here, this difference here, and I just measured that on the fingerboard right here, and that told me where to place my 24th fret, and then I just double checked that I was right up against my drawing. So I was using my drawing as a road map or a blueprint. So I have my fingerboard all laid out. I got all of my frets laid out, all the dots connected. What I want to demonstrate here, and we'll see if I can do this with one hand here. I have these blocks. This is oak. They got a really good joint around them through my joiner. Okay, you can barely see the join when they're even pushed together. That's the effect that you want. And what I'm going to do is place them. I'm going to sandwich my fret saw. My fret saw. I'm going to go ahead and sandwich that in. And what I'm going to do here, let me get a better angle on this, is I'm going to creep up to the pencil line, and then I'm going to clamp that one in place. See if I could do this with one hand. And I like to work on the edge of my workbench. My workbench is a little heavier, and it since it's nice and heavy, it gives me the opportunity to have be a little bit more sturdy. But I do all of my fan frets like this. One thing that I have here is some beeswax, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to apply some wax to my saw blade. So I'm going to put my phone down real quick and do this. And I went ahead and put the other piece of wood in place, and I've got this saw blade sandwiched in here, and I went ahead and applied some beeswax as a lubricant. And all I'm going to go ahead and do now is go ahead and saw back and forth, and the wax acts like a lubricant against the wood, and it actually lets me slide this back and forth nice and smooth. So I can go ahead and just use the weight of the tool and start sawing. And if I need, when I'm done and I need to check, because I don't have a depth stop on my saw, sometimes I'll scribe a line on here on my saw so I know how deep I need to go. So I'll just remove one block and I'll check. This is Cocobolo, and it's really hard, and you can't, the light's not that great, but anyhow, this is how I go about sawing the fret slots for my fan fret fingerboards. It's I've seen some pretty complicated rigs, and as long as your fret scale marks and your where you connect your dots are accurate, this will go down without fail every time. A very simple solution to a fairly complicated concept. Doesn't have to be complicated, but the idea of connecting two scale lengths, there is no right and wrong way to do it. If you're building for yourself, you just want to make sure that you are making it as comfortable to play for yourself as possible. A lot of people will go for radical aesthetics, and the instrument will not be that playable. So you want to keep your playability in mind, and that's about it. So super simple rig. Probably takes about, I'd say, 20 to 30 minutes to slot all your, to make all your slots. You don't need a CNC machine. If you have one, that's great. The amount of time you're going to spend programming versus the amount of time you're going to spend laying out and sawing is probably going to be drastically different. But once you have your program made, you can go ahead and slot these no problem. So but one tool, actually a few tools, I got some clamps and I got a saw, and I use some rollers, and then some scrap wood and some beeswax, and you can get this job done no problem. So I'm Perry from Unga Guitars and the Unga School of Guitar Making. If you have any questions about this video, please ask me in the comments or email me, or you visit my website. My phone number's on there. You can call me or text me. But I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.